Whenever I would get sick, it would hit me a lot harder than it would typically hit me if I wasn't dealing with the CFS stuff. And most of the time it was like that, but actually other times it was interesting. I would actually feel better when I was sick because I was dealing with a host of CFS symptoms, all the weird nausea, the weird heart palpitations, severe insomnia, things like that, that really wired feeling. A lot of times when I got sick, it went from those strange CFS feelings and symptoms to actual sickness symptoms. How's it going, guys? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what to do if you're dealing with colds or viruses or flus when you're trying to recover from CFS. And the reason I wanted to film this video right now, you might be able to tell by my voice, is I'm actually a little bit congested. I've been sick for about 2 or 3 weeks up to this point. And we do get this question a lot. I get a lot of people asking me, hey, Miguel, what do I do if I get sick? Because it can actually feel like a symptom flare-up. So it is a very common question, and actually a lot of people are afraid, really afraid to get sick again, because a lot of people get CFS from some kind of virus or some kind of really intense flu or even long COVID, right? So it becomes this sort of trigger for a lot of people. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Miguel. I am the founder of CFS Recovery. We teach people how to recover from chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, long COVID, any hypersensitive nervous system disorder, essentially people dealing with mysterious debilitating symptoms that the doctors can't explain, and they really don't know what's going on, and there's no explanation for it anywhere. So I myself, I was sick for a handful of years, about 4.5 years, and at my worst, I was completely bedridden in the hospital. Today, I'm living with thriving health other than when I'm sick, like I'm sick right now. So let's go back. Rewind the clock back to when I was dealing with all of this stuff, back when I had limited capacity. I was dealing with symptoms every day and still making my way through this whole CFS journey. Whenever I would get sick, it would hit me a lot harder than it would typically hit me if I wasn't dealing with the CFS stuff. And most of the time it was like that, but actually other times it was interesting. I would actually feel better when I was sick because I was dealing with a host of CFS symptoms, all the weird nausea, the weird heart palpitations, severe insomnia, things like that, that really wired feeling. A lot of times when I got sick, it went from those strange CFS feelings and symptoms to actual sickness symptoms. Things like a headache or achy joints and actual fatigue. It actually felt nice to be tired for once in a blue moon because I never really experienced fatigue like that. I was wired while I was tired, but I was never really just tired and I could never really sleep. However, when I was sick with CFS, it actually allowed me to sleep. So anytime I got a cold, a flu, things like that, yeah, it would suck, but that level of crappiness was still better than my everyday feeling of having CFS. So a lot of people, they're nervous about potentially getting sick again. They're afraid that this is going to bring them back to square one, or that they're going to lose all of their progress, or that their muscles are going to decondition again. And it is a valid concern. But what I can tell you is that the way you should treat these colds or flus or viruses, for the most part, is like an adjustment period. Treat it like a typical flare-up. And you know what a flare-up is like when you have CFS. A flare-up is essentially, you have a certain level of activity you're used to doing. Let's say it's about here. Overall, this is your overall level of activity, right? If you do more than that, you're going to have a flare-up of symptoms, right? Pretty much any extra stimulus that you're not used to, if you add on that stimulus on top of your typical baseline, we'll call it, then that extra stimulus is going to cause some kind of symptoms to flare up. And so you getting sick, you getting some infection or a virus or something like that is very similar because all it is added stress on your nervous system, right? It's an extra stimulus. Now, your body, it can't really distinguish, especially your nervous system. I'm talking about your nervous system specifically here. It has a hard time distinguishing different stressors, different stimulus from one another. So whether it's financial stress or relationship stress or work stress or family stress or immune system stress, it kind of all goes in the same bucket. So either way, your body it's overflowing in its bucket. And when it does that, you're going to have symptoms. So that's how I looked at colds or flus or viruses, or whenever I got sick. All it is, it's extra stimulus on my nervous system. I actually have a very clear memory of when I got really sick on top of having CFS. So I got out of the hospital and I knew the recovery principles. I was implementing them. I was recovering. I was getting better and better. I went from, being bedridden in a hospital to getting released from the hospital, then walking on my own 2 feet about just over a year later after that. I think I left the hospital a day after my 23rd birthday, March 29th. Okay. The following year, in June, I had a trip booked for New York, but my tooth had been hurting for such a long time. Actually, I had this tooth problem for years leading up to this, and I already had emergency root canals on this tooth right here. This is a fake tooth, but it got so bad that June. I was still in adjustment periods. I was still, kind of keeping things under control, not going crazy with my activity. I had a really sore toothache, and I remember calling the dentist and I say, hey, my tooth really hurts. It's really bad. It's throbbing. I couldn't sleep for about a week. I thought it was just a symptom. I thought my mind was playing tricks on me. So I said, nah, whatever. It's my body playing tricks on me. But it kept getting worse and worse. Side note, this is another reason why if you have a really strange, mysterious symptom, typically we say, just swat it away. It's the nervous system. But if it's very strange, something you haven't felt before, and it's lasting multiple days, if it was around for about a week or longer and it was getting worse, then that's kind of a clear sign, okay, I should probably get this checked out. So this toothache was sticking around and it was getting worse and worse. And so I went to the dentist, they had a look at it and they said, Miguel, this is not good. In fact, we need to operate on this right now. Emergency root canal, emergency extraction. So I actually had a tooth infection. My root canal got infected, they operated on it, and I was missing a front tooth and I was really sick. As in, I was having fevers. CFS days, because at this point, I had worked my way up from being bedridden to being able to travel, work. I was able to do some physical activity. Most of my symptoms were gone. I still had some adjustment periods here and there, but the only previous time I felt that bad was probably in the hospital. But obviously this was still nowhere near the hospital. But yeah, I was really, really sick. And I remember my doctor, I said, hey doc, this is intense. I mean, I am extremely fatigued. I am so tired. I'm sleeping all day. I feel sick. My head is pounding, heart rate's up. But even if they got as sick as you did, they would feel the same things. So nothing to worry about here. You had a tooth infection. You got really sick. And I said, you know what? You're right. You're right. Sure, I felt a lot of these symptoms when I had CFS, but even normal people, if they have an infection bad, they're gonna feel like crap too. And it kind of brings me back to the present day, because for the last, I'd say 2 weeks, this thing has really hit me hard. And when I say hard, not even comparable to CFS, right? I can still function, I can still work and drive and do all those things. But I've worked out once in the last 2 weeks, right? I've been very, very tired. As in taking naps. I need a nap almost every day. And would I an adjustment period? Have that as an adjustment period? No. My main symptom is fatigue. I'm tired. But look at other people who get sick. They're also tired too. Look at kids who get sick, right? When you're at school and you get a sickness, you stay home, you're in bed all day nursing yourself, or your parents are nursing you. Even normal people go through this. So sometimes we lose perspective that sometimes our body just needs a break. Even a normal body needs a break. Right? And it's interesting because, like I was saying earlier, whenever I got sick before, yes, I would feel a lot of fatigue when I had CFS, right? CFS plus a sickness, yeah, you're gonna feel way more tired than a normal person. Makes sense. But it's interesting because a lot of the attention of my nervous system and my whole brain, it shifted from trying to trigger all these false symptoms, all these weird chronic pains, and now it's shifted its focus to actual danger, which is my immune system. It's trying to fight something off. So it's like, okay, CFS mode, we're gonna put the body in survival mode. We're gonna make sure Miguel can't stand up, make sure he's terrified of every symptom. Oh shoot, well this thing over here, that's real danger. All right, focus on this, fight off this sickness, fight off this infection. And it's crazy because a lot of my anxiety actually went down when I got sick, when I had CFS. The only reason I would get anxious was because I thought this sickness was making me go backwards. But here's the thing, if you watch enough of my videos, you understand adjustment periods and you understand progress cycles. Progress cycles are the only way to move forward in recovery. A progress cycle is essentially you adding on stimulus, having a flare-up, and then dealing with that flare-up properly through brain retraining. And here's a video I have talking about brain retraining. Definitely watch that if you haven't already. But that's the only way to level up. So either way, you're gonna go into a flare-up. Either way, you're going to add on stimulus that would kind of push your body outside its comfort zone and you would flare up. This just so happens to be extra stress from your immune system. So instead of you walking outside or going out with your friends or eating a certain food or sitting up longer, any kind of extra stimulus that you would have had within your control, that you would have intentionally added into your overall stimulus, well now, this just so happened to be added unintentionally. That's the only difference, but it is still stimulus on your nervous system. So you can actually use getting sick, getting a cold, getting a flu as an advantage. Me right now, yeah, I've been sick for about 2 weeks. I've definitely had to dial down my overall activities. I had to pull back on my workouts, but I know this is actually gonna make me stronger, you know? It's actually gonna build my immune system. My immune system is being essentially conditioned right now, which is why I don't mind getting sick every now and then. I actually look at it as a good thing. My immune system needs to be trained. If it's never used for years and years, then I know my body's not being pushed and conditioned in the way it should be. Now, if I'm getting sick constantly, like every 2, 3, 4 months, then that's a problem. But having something like this every now and then, I actually see it as a sign of health. It's a sign that my immune system is working. So I have reframed the way I look at these things. I'm not missing out on workouts. I'm not missing out on opportunities. Depending on how you look at it, someone may say, yeah, I am, but I'm looking at it as, okay, this is just the universe telling me, hey, it's time to slow down a little bit, and I can use this time to recharge. I can use this time to slow down from all the work I need to do. I can use this time to slow down from going out so much and working out so much. I'm using this time to recharge, right? There's a yin and a yang in this entire universe, and you need both. If you're constantly in go mode, yeah, sometimes life will just have a funny way of forcing you to slow down. Now here's the problem. If this was old Miguel, I would have just pushed through this. I would say, yeah, I'm feeling like crap. I feel like having a nap, but I need to train myself to be mentally tough. So I'm still gonna go to the gym 5 days a week. I'm still gonna work 8 hours a day, but I don't do that anymore. I don't fall into that trap because I know what road that leads down. So essentially, just see your sickness and your cold and the flus, see it as a big adjustment period. And do not see it as something that's making you go backwards or hindering your progress. It's not doing that at all. You know, you can use this as a springboard. We've actually seen people, I've seen this dozens and dozens of times, where someone is making progress in their recovery journey, getting great results. They go from bedridden to walking to driving and then fully functional, and then they get really sick with either COVID or some kind of really bad flu or virus, and then it knocks them back. All of a sudden, they have to stay home most of the day. And this could drag on for 1, 2, maybe even 3 weeks, and then they start questioning it. You know, they're responding well after the first few days or first few weeks. After that time period, they start to really question things, and they go, no, it feels like I'm going backwards because I could do way more 6 months ago. And actually, the last time my activity level was this low was back when I was dealing with all these symptoms and CFS. So does that mean I'm back at that same level as before? And the answer is absolutely not. And we always tell people, hey, use this as a springboard, respond well, just slow down. This could actually be your next progress cycle. And sometimes, let's say someone is here in terms of overall activity level. They get sick and now they're down here. Their capacity level drops. If they respond well, and they don't panic and they don't freak out and they stay consistent with the recovery principles, then when that sickness goes away, it's almost like their capacity increases up here. So you can actually feel better after you get sick. I know myself, not only am I slowing down on activities right now, my muscles are getting the most stress they've gotten in a long time. So when this infection goes away, my nose is clear and my congestion is gone and I don't have this in my system anymore, I'm gonna be able to come back and my muscles will be fully rested and I'm gonna be able to hit the gym twice as hard. So it's just like if you're driving across a desert, that car is always moving. Sometimes it's faster, sometimes it's slower. Sometimes you need to take a very short pit stop, but either way, you're gonna make up that ground again. You're gonna make up that ground. So even if you slow down, even if you take a step back and you're not always expanding activity, it's fine. In resting, in pulling back, you're actually being very productive. You're kind of winding up the springboard that once your body is ready for it, boom, you springboard forward. And so that's all I wanted to share in this video is don't look at your colds or flus or sicknesses as something that puts you back in the hole or it's something that puts you 5 or 10 steps back, or don't think that you lose progress. You don't lose progress. See this as an adjustment period. You could use this to your advantage and start thinking of it that way because you're definitely not losing progress. This is definitely not a bad thing. It's something that you can use to your advantage. So I hope that makes sense. If you did want some extra help with your recovery, we talk about these topics all the time, and sometimes all of this is generic advice. Sometimes we need a little bit more personal one-on-one help, or maybe in a smaller group setting. If you did want some extra help in your recovery, we're always looking for people who are ready to take that next step. Obviously, only if they're ready to come to calls and be committed and follow through on the plan. If you're looking for that, we have something for you inside of the Recovery Academy. So click the link down below. I'm gonna leave a link. You can fill out a questionnaire and see if you're a good fit. And if you are, we would love to help you get to thriving health. So always remember, you're a thriver and you are just one mind shift away from living life with thriving health. I'm gonna go blow my nose and probably hit the sauna to clear my sinuses right now. But nonetheless, I'm seeing this as a springboard forward, as you should too. So I'll see you in the next video.